Apyayantu mamangani Vakpranasyakshushrutramato balamindriyani cha sarvani Sarvam brahmopanishadam Maham brahma nirakuryam Mama brahma nirakarut Anirakaranamastu anirakaranam me astu Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaste mai santu Te mai santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace mantra from the Samaveda. May quietness descend upon my limbs, my speech, my breath, my eyes, my ears. May all my senses wax clear and strong. May Brahman show himself unto me. May I never deny Brahman or Brahman me. I with him and he with me. May we abide always together. May there be revealed to me, who am devoted to Brahman, the holy truth of the Upanishads. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. This morning our subject is Shankara, a great teacher of Vedanta. We are observing Shankara's birthday anniversary service. Without Shankara, it is almost difficult to imagine Vedanta philosophy. Shankara said, Krite Vishwaguru Brahma, Tritayam Rishi Sattama, Dvapare Vyasaiva Syat, Kaluvatra Bhavaimham. In this Satya Yuga, golden age, Brahma, the creator, was Vishwaguru, the world teacher, who taught the four Vedas and Vedanta. In the Treta Yuga, Vashishta was the world teacher. His Yoga Vashishta Ramayana tells us what is highest Vedanta philosophy. In Dwapara Yuga, Vyasa was the teacher. Without Vyasa, it is hard to imagine Vedanta, who compiled the four Vedas, wrote Brahma Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, Rama, and also Bhagavata Purana, and many, many, many books. And Shankara says in this Kali Yuga, I am the world teacher. Very interesting. It seems all great teachers or geniuses do not live long. Shankara lived only 32 years, Christ 33 years, Swamiji 39 years, Chaitanya 48 years, Sri Ramakrishna 51 years. But years doesn't matter. The messages they gave, those messages are eternal. The story goes, Shiva Guru and Vishishta, a very spiritual couple, lived in Kalaji in Kerala. They had no children. So Shiva Guru prayed to the Lord Shiva, Lord, please give me a son. Shiva gave him a vision and said, what kind of son do you want? If you want an omniscient son, he will not live long. But if you are an ordinary son, he will live long. Shiva Guru said, Lord, I like to have a son like you. Thus, Shankara was born as an incarnation of Lord Shiva. son. It is not easy to have a real son. What do I mean, real son? In Hitopadesha, we read Ajato Mrito Murkhibhu. Ajato, the child who is not born. Mrito, who is dead. And Murkho, stupid. Among these three, two are better than the last one. Why? Because the Ajato, the child was not born and was dead. For them, parents get some temporary pain. But a stupid son gives pain all through their lives. That is the reason. Shiva Guru wanted an omniscient son like Lord Shiva. He was very precocious. Shiva Guru died when Shankara was 3 years old. At the age of 5, his mother arranged Upanayana, sacred ceremony, and then sent the son to the school. He went to the school. He was Shrutidhar. Whatever he listens once and never forgets. So we read the scriptures, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Vedas, Vedanta, and 6 types of philosophy he read from the age of 5 to 7 in 2 years. Amazing. Then his name spread everywhere, that he is a great, great teacher. The king Rajashekhar wanted to see him, but Shankara said, no, I cannot go to the king. King should come to me. The king was very humble. He came to see Shankara. I was amazed watching his erudition, knowledge, wisdom. He was very devoted to his mother. It was in horoscope that he will die at the age of 8. But if he takes sannyas, if he becomes a monk, he will live another 8 years. So what happened? One day, his mother, the river was, Alwai river was quite a distance from their home. His mother was trying to bring some water. On the way, she fell and was injured. So Shankara prayed to the Lord, Lord, why don't you bring the river near our house so that my mother will not have to walk such a long distance? Next day they found the river came to their home. I remember in 1986 I went there in Kalaji and I took bath in that river. It is not too deep, it is maybe waist deep of water in the middle of the river. I took bath there. One day, Shankara and his mother were bathing in the river. All of a sudden, a crocodile came and grabbed Shankara's leg. And all people are trying to rescue him, but couldn't. The Shankara shouted, Mother, give me permission to be a monk, then crocodile may give me up. Unwillingly, Vishishta gave permission, all right, be a monk. I want you to be alive. So anyhow, the crocodile left. Shankara left home at the age of 8. He heard about a great teacher, Govindapada, in Omkareshwar. Some people say that he was an incarnation of Patanjali. I went there in 1997, Omkareshwar, on the bank of the Tungabhadra, of the river, Rebhuti. Beautiful place. Guru Govinda Pada was immersed in Samadhi for many, many, many years. Many of his disciples tried to break his Samadhi but could not succeed. But when Shankara went, he chanted 8 verses. It is called Guru Stakam, 8 verses on Guru. Beautiful, very poetic. Shariram surupam sadaroga muktam jasascharu chitram dhanam meridullam Guru rangi padme manusyena lagnam tatah kim tatah kim tatah kim tatah kim Kalatram dhanam putra putradi sarvam griham bandhava sarvam etaddi jatam Guru rangi padme manusyena lagnam tatah kim tatah kim tatah kim tatah kim Shanangadi Vedo Mukha Shastra Vidya Kovittancha Goiddam Supaidam Karuti Guru Rangi Padme Manusyena Lagnam Tatakim 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 Tatakim. Very beautiful. Only 3 verses are enough. Shariram Surupam. You might have a beautiful body. Shariram Surupam Sadaru and a diseaseless body. And your name and fame may spread all over. You might have plenty of wealth, but if you have no devotion, love for Guru, what does it avail? What does it avail? What does it avail? You might have plenty of friends and relatives. You might have a beautiful, expensive home, but if you do not have love and devotion for Guru, what does it avail? What does it avail? You may be a great scholar. You may be a great writer and poet. But if you do not have devotion for your Guru, what does it avail? What does it avail? Anyhow, when this Govindapada heard these 8 verses from Shankara, that 8 years old boy, he opened his eyes. He understood, my successor has come. Then, next 4 years, this Guru, 3 years I think, the Guru trained him. Hatha Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Raja Yoga, all yogas, all spiritual wisdom gave to him. Then Guru says, this is the time has come for me to depart from this world. You go to Benares and preach this Vedanta, this greatest wisdom of Vedanta philosophy. Benares was the city of learning and culture. All great scholars, Punjis, lived in Benares. So he went to Benares. Please remember, at that time there is no train, no aeroplane, no bus, no car. Walked. From Maharashtra, from Omkareshwar, he went to Benares. From Kerala, he came to Omkareshwar. Quite a distance. Shankara walked quite a bit. So in Benares, one day he was going to take bath in the river. He found a woman on the step with her dead husband. So Shankara says, why don't you take this dead body to the cremation ground to be cremated? That woman says, why don't you ask the dead body to move to the cremation ground? What do you mean, dead body doesn't move? Well, that you believe. You think Nirgun Brahman is everything. You do not believe the Shakti aspect, the gunas of the Nirgun Brahman. Saying so, the woman and the dead body disappeared. Shankara knew it was the Divine Mother who wanted to give him a great lesson. Shakti, the power of Brahman, which creates, preserves and destroys this universe. So he became a great devotee of the Divine Mother and wrote many hymns on her. Another day in Benares, Shankara was walking. He found a Chandala, a low caste person, was walking with 4 dogs. Shankara says, "Hey, Chandala, give me away. Don't touch me." That Chandala says, "Pariya, what? You are the Atman Brahman. Who touches whom? I am also Atman Brahman. We do not touch each other." Then Shankara understood. The Chandala was nothing but Lord Shiva, and 4 dogs represent 4 Vedas. Then Shiva said, "Shankara, I am very pleased with you. You write the whole Vedanta philosophy." Saying so, he disappeared. Shankara was surrounded by his disciples and devotees. He said that Benares is not a good place to write books. So he went to Badrikashrama. Alakananda River. I remember I went there in 1977. Kedarnath and Badrinath. That Badrinath, from Badrinath a little bit further, they called it Basha Gumpha, the cave of Basha. Shankara went there, and in 3 years he finished all his writings. Commentary of the 10 major Upanishads, commentary of the Brahma Sutra and the Gita, and many, many books he wrote. He wrote, I think, 79 books and hymns together. Then, while returning, they stopped at Uttarkashi. There he found an old man. Shankara met him, and they are discussing about Vedanta. So they had a debate on Vedanta philosophy for 7 days. Nobody can defeat each other. Then Shankara's disciple Padmapad said, "He's not an ordinary person. He must be Vyasadeva." So Shankara next day bowed down to him and said, "You are that great sage Vyasa." Vyasa said, "Yes, I am Vyasa. I just wanted to test your wisdom, knowledge." Shankara, the Vyasa, he says, "My time is over. 16 years I am supposed to live, so I must depart from this world." Vyasa says, No. You must now preach Vedanta all over India. You have many things to do. I am giving a blessing to you so that you may live another 16 years. So he got 2 extensions, 8 to 16, again 16 to 32. Next 16 years, Shankara traveled the length and breadth of all India. Think of that, from Rameshwaram to Kashmir, and from Assam to Dwarka. The whole Arjavarta, the whole India, he traveled. He defeated 75 schools of thought. There are so many schools. He established 4 monasteries in the 4 corners of India. Jyotirmath or Joshi Math near Badrikashrama in the north. In the south, Sringeri Math. In Dwarka, Sharada Math near the Arabian Sea. And in Puri, Govardhan Math. So established 4 monasteries to preserve the Vedantic culture Vedic religion. I visited all 4 monasteries. And he established 4 monastic orders. Tirtha, Bon, Aranya, Giri, Puri, Bharati, Parvat, Sagar, Ashram, Saraswati. 10 monastic orders, we call it Dasanami Sampradaya. 10 monastic orders, those who will carry this ancient wisdom of Vedanta from generation after generation. It goes to Guru Parampara, Guru to disciple, Guru to disciple, Guru to disciple. So we belong to, Ramakrishna Acharya belonged to Puri sect. Sri Ramakrishna's guru was Totapuri, came from Shankara's order, and then Ramakrishna, and then Sri Ramakrishna's disciples and disciples and disciples. We belong to Puri sect of Shankara. Shankara had a great devotion for his mother. When he became a monk, he promised to his mother, I shall look after you. I shall be present at the time of death, my first promise. Second, I shall show your chosen deity, I shall show you God. Third, another thing he said, I shall cremate your body, something like that. So Shankara came and fulfilled his desire, fulfilled his promise to his mother. He was very devoted to his mother. So after Uttarkashi, I am just giving you a brief biographical sketch of Shankara. Uttarkashi Vyasa says, first you will have to go to Kumaril Bhatta, who is a great exponent of Mimamsa philosophy. If you can defeat him, that would be a great victory for you. You will have to understand the Vedic period. This is the Karma Kanja, the ritualistic part of the Vedas. And this is Jnana Kanja, the knowledge aspect of the Vedas. These rituals and this knowledge. The ritualistic says our goal is to go to heaven through karma. And this Vedantic school says, Uttar Mimamsa, Vyasa, says, goal is not heaven, goal is liberation. So Shankara belongs to the second group. So when we went to Kumaril, Kumaril was dying. He says, I am dying, I cannot answer your questions, but if you can defeat my disciple, Manjan Mishra, in Maheshmati, then it will be equivalent to defeating me. So Shankara went and challenged him. His wife was very wise. But who would be the umpire? Let your wife be the umpire. So they had 7 days debate. Nobody can defeat each other. And later on, Manjan Mishra was defeated. The condition was that if you are defeated, I shall be your disciple. If you are defeated, you will be my disciple. And if I am defeated, I will be your disciple. So he was defeated, so he is supposed to be Shankara's disciple. Then Ubhay Bharati says, you have defeated the half, the other half is me. You will have to defeat me, otherwise you cannot take my husband as a monk. So, all right, ask your questions. So this woman was so tricky. She said, she asked some very worldly sex questions about human life and all those things. So Shankara says, as a monk I cannot answer this question, but you will have to give me 1 month time. I shall answer your question by writing. So Shankara left with his disciples. And Shankara told his disciples, I shall enter into a dead body and make him alive, and then with that body I shall rise, and again I shall come back to my body. I am leaving this body in this cave, please protect it. At that time, a king Amaruk, he died, and his family were crying, the queens and the ministers. So Shankara entered into his yogic process. Everything in India possible, you see. He entered that King Amaruk's body, and king was alive, so minister and his wife all are very happy. And they found that he has so much wisdom, beautifully he is managing the whole country. And at night time, he wanted to be alone. At night time, he used to answer those questions. Then the queen and the minister consulted, but he must be a yogi or a great soul enter into my husband's body. Burn all dead bodies in wherever you find. We want this person should live in this body forever. So the people found out Shankara's body. And Shankara's one disciple thought, perhaps Guru has forgotten us, enjoying the palace and the queen. And they gave some signal. Shankara realized, yes, I am coming. So immediately, when they took his body and about to cremate, Shankara left this body and entered into his original body and got up. And then answered the questions of that, carried these answers to that wife, Ubhay Bharati, and Manjan Mishra became his disciple. Shankara had 4 disciples, Padmapad, Manjan Mishra later became Sureshwaracharya, then Hastamalakacharya, and Tutakacharya. These are the 4 disciples of Shankara. And these 4 disciples became the 4 heads of the 4 monasteries. As I say, Shankara wrote many books, refuted various schools of thought, and established non-dualistic Vedanta, Advaita Vada. And then Shankara, we do not find Shankara's dead body. He went to Kedarnath and disappeared. That is the end of Shankara. Those who have visited Kedarnath, they know behind the Kedar temple, there is a temple of Shankara, where he disappeared. Anyhow, that is the brief story of Shankara's life. Now I shall have to talk about Vedanta. What is Vedanta? This how is Shankara taught? There are 3 objections against Vedanta. There are 3 criticisms. First, Vedanta is dry. Second, Vedanta is difficult. Third, Vedanta discourages worldly enjoyment. These are the 3 objections against Vedanta. Those who think that Vedanta is difficult, they have never tried. They are lazy. Those who say Vedanta is difficult, that's the way they think. You see, here is a coconut. If you want to milk of the coconut and the kernel, you will have to break it. Otherwise, you cannot get the kernel and the water. You will have to make an effort to know it. Try. Vedanta is not dry. The subject matter of Vedanta is Satchidananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. Bliss is the force. Bliss is the goal in Vedanta philosophy. In Taittiriya Upanishad we read, Ananda Deva Kallimani Bhutani Jayanti. Anandena jatane jivanti, ananda prayanta visambhishanti. This whole creation came from bliss. It stays in bliss and it merges into bliss. That cannot be dry. Raso Vaisa, he is Rasha, full of felicity, full of juice. Satchidananda, Ananda is the bliss, the Bhuma, the infinite bliss. That is our goal. The third objection, that Vedanta is discouraged worldly enjoyment, that is true. Vedanta wants you to get permanent bliss, not momentary, temporary bliss, temporary excitement or temporary joy. That is the first thing to tell you. Vedanta is a vast subject. I am studying and teaching this Vedanta of last 60 years. I know very little. The source of Vedanta is the Vedas. The Vedas has there are four Vedas, Rik, Sama, Yoju, Atharva. And each Veda has four parts: Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, Upanishad. Samhita are hymns, Brahmana the rituals, Aranyaka meditation and prayer, and Upanishad philosophy. So this Vedanta philosophy is the Upanishad. Upa means near, Ni means definitely, Shad means destroy. If you go to your teacher, he will definitely destroy your ignorance. That is Upanishad. There are 108 Upanishads in Muktika Upanishad. And this Vedanta philosophy stands on a tripod. The first leg of that tripod is Upanishad. Second, Brahma Sutra. Third, Bhagavad Gita. Of course, Shankara's other commentaries and other books, Viveka Chudamani, Panchadoshi, all their books also. Great, great books on Vedanta. Shankara wrote the commentary. If you want to establish any philosophy in India, you will have to write commentary of these three books. Shankara wrote non-dualistic philosophy, Ramanuja wrote qualified monistic philosophy, and Madhva wrote dualistic philosophy. These three schools of thought, all are Vedanta. When Swamiji returned from America in Madras, Swamiji says these three schools are not contradictory, they are complementary. Somebody says, nobody has ever said that. Swamiji says, because it was waiting for me. He said, if you take the picture of the sun in the morning, in the noon, in the evening, all pictures will be different. But you are taking the picture of the same sun. Vedanta philosophy. Philosophy is called darshan. Darshan means to see. In Himalayas, generally the monks address other monks, Kya, aapka darshan saaf hai? Is your vision clear? What do you see? Do you see variety, multiplicity? Or do you see that oneness? Here Vedanta is very clear about it. Dualistic vision is not right, is wrong. If you see two moons, if you see two cars are coming toward you, what does it mean? There is a disease in your eyes, glaucoma or some other problem. You have double vision. You better go to the doctor. So when we see variety, multiplicity, diversity, that means we have a disease. Name of the disease is ignorance, ajnana. This is very interesting in Vedanta. We see variety. variety. Who created these things? Maya. We shall talk about Maya later. Darshan. Shrutibhu Shrutivaikibhu Mantavyasya Upattibihi Bhatvacha Satadandheya Ete Darshan Hetava. First you listen about Vedanta. Ashupte Amrite, till you go to sleep, till you die. Continuously listen. Then, after listening, you reflect what you have heard. After reflection, you meditate. Then you will get the vision. What kind of vision? Ekotva darshanam. Oneness, vision of oneness. Sarvam khalu idam brahma. You will see Brahman is in everything, in every being. That vision will come. That is liberation. At that time, you cannot hate anybody. You cannot kill anybody. But before you attain that, practice Vedanta, there are, says Vedanta, if you want to be a student of Vedanta, you need 4 qualifications. First, Adav Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka. First you need the power of discrimination. What is real, what is unreal. In this world, everything is unreal. What is the definition of reality? Trikalo abade tattam nitattam. The thing which exists in the past, present, and future, that is real. There is nothing in this world which exists in the past, present, and future. 200, 300 years ago, St. Louis City was not here. I am, you see, we are not here, we shall not, we come from a unknown, unmanifest, and go to unmanifest. So this manifestation is not eternal, permanent. Second qualification, renunciation, detachment. I do not want this kind of temporary enjoyment. Third, self-control. Fourth, burning desire for liberation. If you have these four qualifications, you are supposed to come to Vedanta. Very difficult. Well, sometimes I say, if you go to medical school, you need preparation. You get pre-med school. You want to come to know Brahman, you need these things. Then, sambandha, relationship. Brahman is my goal. And how can I know it? From Guru and from the scripture. That is called indirect knowledge. Direct knowledge comes from anubhuti, my own realization. Prayojan, what is the necessity of studying Vedanta? Ajnana nivritti, paramananda prapti, cessation of ignorance and attainment of bliss. How can I attain bliss? How can I get liberation? Bondage and liberation. Very interesting, this Vedanta. Liberation cannot be created. The thing which has been created is subject to destruction. This building was created one day it will be destroyed. The body was created one day, it will be destroyed. Whatever has been created is subject to destruction. In this world of domain of Maya, everything is changing. But Brahman is the unchanging reality, eternal. It will never be destroyed. In Munjaka Upanishad, we read that a student came to the teacher examining this world. Nasti akrita kritina. This Brahman uncreated cannot be attained through action. So, he Gurumuve by Gachet Samitpani Shrotriam Brahmanishtam. He goes to the Guru to know about Brahman. He carried sacrificial wood to the Guru. I remember in Hollywood when I gave that talk on the Upanishad. In Christmas time, one of my students gave me a gift. I didn't know, a big box. In ancient days, the disciples would go to the Guru with sacrificial wood for the home fire. So he sent a big piece of wood covering all fancy paper. They are all hippies, you see. So I was about to throw away. Then I checked it. I found that they put $100 bill with a Scotch tape with that wood. Amazing. The Guru teaches how? Through Adharop and Apabad. Superimposition, desuperimposition. First, the Guru will tell you that how your Atman is covered by 5 sheaths of the soul. Blissful sheath, Anandamaya Kosha. Then intellectual sheath, Vijnanamaya Kosha. Then mental sheath, Manomaya Kosha. Then vital sheath, Pranamaya Kosha. Then Annamaya Kosha, physical sheath. And how to remove these 5 sheaths so that you can see your Atman, you can experience it. We are all hypnotized by Maya. Guru says, Tattvamoshi, you are Brahman. I am supposed to feel that I am Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, but you don't feel it because of Maya. I shall tell you an incident I read. One Chinese prisoner was in this cell, dungeon, dark cell for 30 years. During the coronation of the king of China, all prisoners were released. This man came out and saw the bright sun. He was crying, oh no, I shall die, I shall die. I cannot bear this sunlight. I cannot bear this kind of life. Please send me back again to the dungeon, my cell, the darkness. 30 years this man was in the cell, it becomes his nature. That becomes his home. Similarly, whole life we are hypnotized by Maya, thinking, I am Chetananda, I am a body, mind, all these things. Maya. Maya makes the infinite finite. It is all aghatana, ghatana, puchishi Maya. It makes the impossible possible, possible impossible. It makes all mixture. I understood Maya once. I went to buy a pair of shoes in West Coast Plaza in California, Southern California. So we went to, after the buying shoes, we went to a restaurant, rain forest restaurant. Akbar rain forest, you will see gorilla, you will trees, and rain comes, and the gorilla makes noise, pressing the hands, on the chest, and makes all noise. Sometimes the parents bring their children on their birthdays in that restaurant. So I sat one table, they sat another table. All of a sudden, that gorilla was making noise and breaching the chest and making noise, and this child, 3-4 years old boy, was crying and crying, fear, out of fear. I realized that is Maya. To that little boy, that gorilla is real. To me, that is gorilla is unreal. It is all computerized program. The gorilla every 15 minutes will make noise. This is called Maya. You see, there are 2 beautiful words of Vedanta you must learn. Asat, Mithya. Vedanta says the world is unreal. Asat means the thing which does not exist and you cannot see. Horn of a man. We do not see. But Mithya means it does not exist but you can see. Like mirage. in the desert, you can see water on the sand. Or you can see silver on the mother of pearl on the sand, on the beach. But they are not real. That is called mithya. Adhas. If you understand this adhas, superimposition in Vedanta, then you will know what is the mystery of Maya. In the Brahma Sutra, in the opening commentary, Shankara mentioned, Satyanite mithunikitta ahamidam mamaidam iti nushirgiko ayam loka bhavahara. This whole world is a mixture of truth and untruth. Untruth means Maya, and truth means Brahman. Consciousness and unconsciousness, spirit and matter, mixed up. Aham idam, mama idam, I am, my. This whole world is nothing but I and my. This I and my are the warp and woof of Maya. All we are trapped in that net of Maya. I, my. I am Chittarananda, I am this, I am that. My books, my ashram, I and my, I and my. Nothing, when I and my go away, the world disappears. It is amazing that how this I binds us. For the reason those who used to go to Raman Maharshi, he used to say, find out, who am I? That was his mantra, who am I? Yodhash. Some people think that if it is all truth, it will not work. As Sri Ramakrishna says, absolutely 100% pure gold does not make any jewelry. Necklace, bracelet, and earring, nose ring, it will not come from the pure gold. They mixed with alloy. Then you can give shape. So this is the way we found this world. Sometimes I tell people, watch these 5 things. Osti, bhati, priyo. Existence, knowledge, bliss, that is Brahman. Namo, rupa, name and form, Maya. This whole world is nothing but name and form. Chittarananda has a name, it has a form. If one day it evolved, one day it will dissolve. This is Maya. Amazing, this Maya. Brahma is the ultimate reality. Shankara mentioned, Shulakardhena prabhakshyami yaduktam gruntakochivi Brahma Satyam Jagat Mitha Jiva Brahma Ivanapara. What has been enumerated in millions of verses, I shall tell you in half a verse. Brahma Satyam, Brahman alone is real. Jagat Mitha, this world is not real. Jiva Brahma Ivanapara, all individual beings are nothing but Brahman. These only three sentences, that is enough. Then you have understood the whole Vedanta. Brahma is the absolute reality, pure consciousness, unchanging reality, free from qualities, no limitations. We get knowledge. How do we get knowledge? Desha, Kala, Bostu. Desh, space. This is a chapel space, library space, kitchen space, room space, bathroom space. Break this house, it is only space. So through space we get the knowledge. Then Kala, time. Shankara's birthday, next Sunday will be Buddha's birthday. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, morning, noon, evening. This is the way we get the knowledge. Bostu, that is the chair, this is the microphone, this is the book, this is the light. These are all objects. This is the 3 ways we can get the knowledge. That happens in the domain of Maya. In Brahman, there is no such thing, no divisions. Amazing. And this Atman, individual consciousness, and this cosmic consciousness are the same. This space in the jar and this cosmic space, both the space are the same. That is the way Vedanta explains. Jiva, individual soul, actually Brahman, but thinks that I am the Jiva. Jagat. We must know the world we live in, this world. It is an interesting place. Madhusudana Saraswati refuted, the world is not real. Angshatvat, it is a part that cannot be real. Jadatvat, if it is matter, that cannot be real. Parichhinnatvat, that thing which is really limited, cannot be real. Drishyatvat, the thing which you see, cannot be real. In this way, he gave all reasons, the reality. This world is not real. But it is hard to believe. My husband, my wife, my children, my family, my church, my Ramakrishna, all these things are unreal. Absolutely. From the absolute point of view, it is unreal. But relative point of view, it is real. Shankara admitted this relative reality, loka vyavahara. But sometimes I make a joke. Everything is unreal. My guru is unreal, my mantra is unreal, my ishta is unreal, I am unreal. But the unreal guru through unreal mantra can remove the unreal ignorance of the unreal disciple. The unreal doctor can remove the unreal disease of the unreal patients. That is the way it goes. It does not have absolute reality, but relative reality. Shankara stays on the knowledge aspect. Jnanat moksha. Jnana, knowledge. How do we get knowledge? Look how we get knowledge. Here is the chair. My intellect, my mind, and on that mind there is a reflection of this Atman, that is called that Chidabhas. That mind becomes luminous. And that luminous mind goes on the chair and tells, this is the chair. It destroys the ignorance of the chair, but actually the Atman manifests the chair. Two things happen. Let me give an example, you will understand better. Perhaps you have seen, here is a mirror, and I am taking the sunlight. Some children sometimes play. And taking that sunlight, they put here and there on your face or somebody's window. That reflected light works that way. So human mind is just reflected light. From Brahman, there is reflected, and we are putting here and there. That is the way we are getting knowledge. But this reflected light, if you put on the sun, it is overwhelmed. It cannot reflect the sun. That happens when we get samadhi. This reflected light becomes one with that cosmic light. Individual consciousness, it becomes one with the cosmic consciousness. That is the way it works. At that time, the mind becomes the subject, the mind becomes the object. That is the reason Sri Ramakrishna said, pure mind and pure Atman are one. You know, that aspect is sadhana sapekho. If you practice spiritual disciplines, only you can experience that kind of things. It will take you to samadhi. I remember one of my students used to come and tell me, Swami, I like to have samadhi. Samadhi? Before you attain samadhi, you engage hriday. You need a person who can hold you. Otherwise, Sri Ramakrishna fell, he broke his hand, he broke his tooth. So you better engage somebody before you get samadhi. Her husband says, Swami, I can do that job. I shall hold my wife, let her have samadhi. Another person came and said, Swami, I want to see God. I told, really? Yes. But listen, within 21 days he will die. He was scared. Sri Ramakrishna said, after God's realization, bas, you cannot function anymore. You will be saturated with God consciousness and bliss. You will be floated in bliss. You will be carried away by bliss. Your husband, wife, children, all will disappear. As Sri Ramakrishna says, a cloth doll went to take the bath in the ocean. It took bath, but it was saturated with water and fell down on the seashore. That will happen. That word in Upanishad is very beautiful. Otasya protasya. It is saturated with God consciousness. You cannot function anymore. If 440 or 880 electric volt touches your body, you will be electrified in no time. You will be dead. So better have some joy, bliss, time to time. Sri Ramakrishna said to the Brahmas, আমি জ্বলে গেছি, I am burnt completely. তোমরা সারে মাতে আছো. You have some family and a little spirituality. You have both. You people are very intelligent, but I am burnt. That thing happened. You cannot function in this world. Somebody says, I want liberation. Shankara's liberation is prapti. Attainment of the attained. Swarajya Siddhi. Attainment of the lost empire. Regain the lost empire. Let me tell you what is Shankara's mukti. Ramanuja says mukti, liberation, can be attained through spiritual disciplines and practices and all these things. Shankara says no. You are already free. Atman is ever nitya mukta. Mukti cannot be created, because then it will be subject to destruction. We give this example. Here is a rich aristocratic woman wants to go to a party. She was searching her necklace. She could not find it. Searching. Her friend was waiting. What is the matter? Well, I am searching my necklace. My goodness. That, of course, that lady has a turtleneck sweater. Well, yes, I see some glittering inside your neck. There. Then she put her hand and found the necklace. And immediately she was happy. That is called prapti. Necklace is there, but you forgot it. That is the way Vedantic liberation works. You are already free. You are already illumined. Know it. Know thyself. Who wants liberation? I remember Swami Bhuteshanandaji, he was a great Swami. A devotee came and said, Sangsare bodo ashanti. There is so much suffering in this world. The Maharaj said, I know the medicine, how to get rid of the suffering. But how, Swami? Just give up desires. Oh, Swami, we are householders, how can we give up our desires? Tali ashanti niyei thako. Then live with ashanti, misery. Swami gave a beautiful answer. Who wants liberation? I told you in Indian folklore. Narada went to Vishnu and said, Lord, people are in this world are suffering so much. Why don't you bring these people to heaven in Vaikuntha and let them have this heavenly bliss? Vishnu said, do you think people want to come to heaven? Well, of course they do. Well, no. You go, I shall keep the gate of heaven open 3 days. You bring as many people as you like. So Narada ran to the world and found an old man seated on a bench in the park and said, "Hello, I see you are pretty old. Do you like to go to heaven?" "Well, of course I like to go to heaven." "Well, right now, please come with me." "Oh, no, no, no. My granddaughter's marriage in September. After the marriage ceremony, I shall go." Narada says, "Only 3 days the gate will be open." "Well, no. After death, I shall go." He could not get him. He found another young man depressed, seated on the chair. "Well, hello, do you like to go to heaven?" "Well, no, yes. I am very sad." "Well, what happened?" "I newly married. My wife has gone to her father's home. I feel lonely. I am very sad." "Well, do you go to heaven?" "Well, no. My wife will be back." He could not get him. Then Narada found a little boy walking on the street. "Hey, do you like to go to heaven?" "Of course." "Can my mom come with me?" "Well, of course, bring your mom." So the boy entered the house, brought the mom. Mom came with the angry mood. "You rogue, you have come to kidnap my son. Get out from my place, otherwise I shall call the police." Narada ran away. So he could not get anybody to go to heaven. So you see, don't think that everybody wants liberation or follow Swamiji's method. Swamiji, oh my goodness, I passed that. Swamiji wrote a poem, Gai Geet Shunate Tumai, a song I sing to thee. दास तबो जनमे जनमे दयानिधि मम गति नहीं जानी तब गति नहीं जानी के बचाए जानी बारे. Master, I am your servant birth after birth. I do not know my way. I do not know your way either. Who cares to know? I surrender myself to you. You do what is best for me. That is the way I think. Love God, serve God. Let him decide whether you need Nirvikalpa Samadhi or there are various kinds of liberation. According to Shankara, Jivan Mukti, free while living. Videho Mukti, at the time of death you will get liberation. Kruma Mukti, gradual liberation. After death you will go to Brahma Loka, then you will get liberation. Then in the dualistic school also there are various kinds of liberation. Shashti, Shamipo, Shaloko, Sajujjo. You will get equal power of God. You will live in the abode of God. You will be very close to God. You will get very equal form of God. In this way they have also various concepts of liberation. Anyhow, I just give you some ideas about Vedanta. As I said, America is a great country for Vedanta because what Vedanta teaches, that is the way Western, especially American people think. First, they believe in democracy. The Vedantic concept of God is a democratic concept of God. Each soul is potentially divine. Second, freedom. America's chosen deity is the Statue of Liberty in New York. Freedom is the song of the soul that Vedanta teaches, that American people love. And it is a non-sectarian, non-dogmatic, universal truth religion. Anybody can practice it. It is free. Anyhow, that is the way I look at it. That is the reason Vedanta is very much appreciated in the West, especially in America. Thank you. Masatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mritturma amritam gamaya, abirabirma yedhi, rudrajatte dakshinamukam, tinamam pahi nityam, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Light us through and through and guide us evermore with thy loving presence. Om, peace, 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 and all.